Today, we're diving into a really powerful story from the ancient Srimad Bhagavatam. It's all about an incredible sage named Kapil Muni and the lessons his life has for all of us.
And really, the whole story hinges on this one question. What actually happens when divine wisdom goes head-to-head with human arrogance? It's a simple question, but believe me, it sets up an amazing story about knowledge, power, and respect. All right, let's get into it.
So our story kicks off, like so many great ones do, with a pretty extraordinary birth, which right away tells you this is going to be a special life.
You see, there was a great sage, Kapil Muni, and his wife Devahuti. They prayed and prayed, and their prayers were answered when Lord Vishnu himself, one of the highest deities in Hinduism, was born as their son. They named him Kapil, and right from birth, he was just different. It was said he literally glowed with divine wisdom.
And this is a really interesting idea, isn't it? The story suggests that divine help doesn't just show up randomly. It comes when the world is in real need of guidance, when there's a hunger for deeper understanding. And wow, did Kapil prove this was true? I mean, even as a little kid, his grasp of the universe was so deep, so insightful, that it just blew away the most experienced sages. They looked at him and knew, okay, this is no ordinary child. He was something else entirely. And that brings us to one of the very first lessons of the story. It's a fantastic reminder that true wisdom has nothing to do with how old you are. It's all about your clarity, your understanding, and just how you act in the world.
So, what happens next? Well, Kapil didn't just keep all this wisdom to himself. He shared it. And he started with the person who was closest to him, his own mother.
So his mother, Devahuti, comes to him and asks how she can be free from sorrow. And he doesn't just give her a quick fix. He lays out a whole path for her, a philosophy called Sankhya Yoga. And it has these 3 core steps. First, it starts with total devotion. Then it moves to self-discipline. And finally, it all leads to the deepest knowledge of all, understanding your true self, your soul, as something separate from your mind and body. And here's the kicker. Kapil taught that suffering isn't some outside force you just have to put up with. No, it's something you can actually overcome from the inside. He said that true knowledge has the power to just dissolve sorrow. Pretty amazing, right?
Now, this is where the story takes a dramatic turn. We're about to see 2 completely different worlds collide, and the fallout is huge.
You can really see the contrast here. On one side, you've got Kapil Muni, living in a peaceful hermitage, totally lost in deep meditation. Then, on the other side, in storm, the 60,000 sons of King Sagara. They're loud, they're angry, they're full of pride, and they're tearing the place apart looking for a stolen horse, shattering all that peace. The thing is, the princes were so blinded by their own power and importance, they had no idea who they were messing with. Their arrogance just completely wiped out any sense of respect for this holy man or his sacred space. And that was their fatal mistake. The consequence was, well, it was immediate and total. When Kapil finally came out of his meditation and opened his eyes, this immense spiritual energy just poured out of him, and in an instant, all 60,000 of those proud princes were turned to nothing but a pile of ash. And this moment, it just flips our whole idea of power upside down. Think about it. The princes had the physical strength and worldly power of a massive army, but it meant absolutely nothing compared to the focused spiritual power of one single sage. It's a total redefinition of what real strength is. But wait, the story doesn't just end there with that fiery climax. The actions of those princes kicked off a long, long journey of consequences that would stretch on for generations.
You can see just how long this saga continued. For generations, the souls of those princes were just trapped. They couldn't find peace. It took one of their descendants, a king named Bhagirath, undertaking years and years of intense penance to finally open a path to forgiveness. His devotion was so pure, so powerful, that it said he brought the sacred river Ganga down from the heavens to earth just to purify his ancestors' ashes.
And that is such a powerful lesson. Forgiveness wasn't cheap. It wasn't easy. It took incredible patience and sincere devotion, stretched over an unbelievable amount of time. Bhagirath's epic quest shows us that even the worst mistakes can eventually be redeemed through genuine, persistent effort. So after that whole epic journey, with sages, princes, and gods, what's the takeaway for us, right here, right now?
It's amazing. This ancient story really boils down to some beautifully simple truths. Be calm and wise, especially when things get chaotic. Respect those who have wisdom and experience. Get a handle on your own anger. Always search for true understanding, not just a show of power. And finally, find real richness in a simple life. These are the core teachings of Kapil Muni.
And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. At its heart, this story is about a choice between two ways of living. There's the arrogant chase for worldly power, which we saw with the princes. And then there's the quiet, serene strength of inner peace, which the sage embodied. So the question for us is pretty simple. In our world today, which one do we really truly value more? Something to think about.